Do you
Yeah.
think that model, it sounds like it is changing. Do you think it's changing for the good? Do you think it's changing fast enough? Do you think there should be more changes to the industry to make this more of a sustainable career then?
I think we need more managers. That's it. Not so much as going back to the old model. That is the model, that
Mhm.
you need to gauge and measure the workflow requirements for that site and effectively manage it.
Walk me through, how have you grown doors then without growing managers at the same rate? Because we all know there's a manager shortage. And where do you maybe see that door-to-door ratio heading in, let's say, the next 5 years? Because again, it's just going to get harder. Hi, Ari. Thanks for joining me today. For our listeners, Ari is the Vice President of Nadlan-Harris Management with over 16 years experience in the industry. Nadlan-Harris does have over 15,000 doors across the Greater Toronto area here in Toronto, Canada. Ari, please tell our listeners a little bit about you.
Well, actually, I want to just correct that one statement. It's not
Oh,
just the Greater Toronto area. We've expanded into Ottawa and the Niagara region.
oh, fantastic. Congratulations. That is a huge accomplishment. Wow. Okay, so you are across Ontario.
Yeah, we're getting there. Southern Ontario, I'll say. Right. Yeah. Uh,
That's where
it,
most of the people are. There's not too many people
it's
in the north.
exciting, and the change, we have always in any type of growth, you have challenges, but we're doing managed growth and we're doing incredibly well. So we're very proud and happy to do that.
Fantastic.
Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you for this opportunity to enjoy your wonderful podcast. I've been looking at some of the previous episodes. They're really amazing. So keep
Thank you.
a little, you asked a little bit about me.
Sure.
I have been in the industry for all told probably 35, 40 years.
Oh,
On the management side, I have been about 16 and a half, and I was a vendor first. So I was a VP GM of a janitorial, cleaning, and a construction company. I worked my way up from actually being a cleaner. So that's part and parcel. I know everything from that side of the industry up, but now I'm on the other side of the table. So there's benefits to be derived for my clients from that knowledge base.
absolutely. What
Uh,
drew you into the property management business? Like going from cleaning, obviously you were around, but what, like, that's a huge transformation to go from cleaning construction to now, now that you're the VP.
I'll try to keep this very long tail very short.
Sure.
In around I was a financial advisor and I was driving to see all my clients. And around 8, I was hit by a tractor trailer on the 401.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my opening line. How do you like that? That's the page turner. I was out of work for quite some time. And to be honest, I was terrified to get back in the car. So somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, listen, I know somebody who's looking for a condo manager. You know it from that side. You can sit in the office, you just drive to that one location, and you can even start to make phone calls to get your clients back there." And I said, "Okay, sure, it's some form of income." And I
Hmm.
remember my first week or two in the building, somebody walked in and said, "Hey, I'd like to see the declaration." And I said, "What's a declaration?" I had no idea, but I learned, and I stayed at that condo for over 2 years. And in recent history at that time, that was the longest any property manager served at that particular location. Then I moved on and I was approached by a large company in Toronto, and I got to manage a very prominent site with close to 400 units. And I really learned there. And again, I was there for over 2 years. And then so my move was then actually I stayed there, and then I didn't make it a secret. I didn't want to be a property manager for life. And I had
Okay.
the opportunity to move up into the supervisory operations, senior operations manager, director of operations, director of client services, and eventually here as vice president as well. And I've been happily here for over 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. What does your role look like as a VP day to day today? Or, maybe not today specifically, but, in the course of a day.
Well, the way it works here, because I report directly to the president and the funnel moves this way. So it's basically everything. But predominantly, what's important for me is to give my staff, my regionals, and those supervisory staff the tools with which to support our managers. So my comment has always been, we don't have a team here. We're not a team at Nadlan-Harris. We're
Mm,
a family, and
okay.
family supports family,
Mm-hmm.
and we look after family. So I try to get the best out of everyone by giving them what they need to exceed their own expectations. So
Mm-hmm. It also looks like you have a lot of fun because I do see your LinkedIn post with your Spider-Man outfit. So I know it's not all just business all the time.
well, actually, that's a secret.
Oh, I'm
I'll tell
sorry.
you. I'll tell you why. No, that the secret is. I try to make this a fun, happy place where people want to come to work.
Oh,
You
that
see,
is the secret.
if
Yeah,
you're having fun
mhm,
and you really want to, you perform better, right?
absolutely.
If you're burdened with the pressures and everything else, and oh, he's going to complain, and they're going, no, no, laughter is the best medicine here, and we really try to create that environment. I have a distinct and small advantage because I'm also a professional magician.
I was about to say, you do have a lot of magic tricks up your sleeve, so
Oh,
I'm sure it does help when you have on one of those Friday afternoons.
well, funnily enough, there's quite a bit, and I just chaired an AGM last night, and yeah, I do magic at the AGMs as I
Oh,
chair. So, yeah, pretty.
amazing. Do they pay extra for the magic show or that's just included?
No, no, no. I can't believe I get to go to work and do my magic as well. So it's
Oh,
pretty fun.
that's awesome. Is there any other things, other than having, just a really light heart and, some fun magic? Is there any other things that you feel that you bring to the table for growing your managers or making that a better space? I know I just interviewed another management firm recently where they have popcorn Fridays. Is there anything else that you want to share in the secret sauce on keeping your managers happy?
That's yeah. It's not just it's nothing specific because managers are like snowflakes. You
Mm,
can't treat them all the same.
mhm.
I have one manager who's crazy about puzzles.
Oh, and you
So
know that detail. That is like the attention to detail.
from
Yeah.
day to day, I'll call him with a puzzle. I've got one that likes dad jokes, and I I share recipes, because
Okay.
I love to cook, and so every and whatever they'll call him. Hey, I just found this out, or I just got this. So we keep our staff engaged in things above and beyond condominium management.
Making
And
them
we do,
feel
and we
more
do,
human
and we
again.
do, we do create, we have a social committee in the office. Well, actually, we have a social committee that's comprised of managers, office staff, accounting, so everyone participates. We do two manager day seminars. It's a full day event at a banquet hall catered, where not only do we have our staff, all of our staff comes, but we invite directors as well. And so it's education and a lot of fun because we encourage participation. So
Mhm.
if anyone has a unique skill, sometimes somebody is a good guitarist and they want to sing a song, they'll do the intro before the manager today. So everybody gets
Fun.
to spread their wings a little bit.
Oh, I like the little talent show that happens
Yeah, it's
too.
it's pretty fun.
Walk me through how have you grown doors then without growing managers at the same rate? Because we all know there's a manager shortage. And where do you maybe see that door-to-door ratio heading in, let's say, the next 5 years? Because again, it's just going to get harder.
Thank you, because this is going to give me a platform. Maybe some of the people at some of the organizations, I won't mention CMRAO's name because I wouldn't do that on air,
Of
but
course.
they'll hear because this is suggestions I put forth. And yes, we let all our clients and potential clients know of the what the industry is experiencing. It's not just us, it's everyone. The
Mhm.
ratio of condominium corporations to license managers, never mind general license managers anymore.
Yeah.
Or if people remember RCMs,
Yep, I am one.
and
Mhm.
we do encourage that as well because of that training. But we've created a formula to attract and retain managers. It's a two-pronged formula. I'll keep that a little bit secret
Okay,
because
I'll
it
let
is
you
it
keep
is
that
a
a secret.
competitive world. So we try to, well, not try to, we make that vow that we don't overburden our managers. I think five corporations or four corporations is probably the limit, but
Sure.
that's a facade. It's not corporation. It's the number of units that they're managing. You can say the manager has five corporations or four corporations, but there's 700 and 400 and 300 and 200, or they have six, and I have a corporation as small as 6 units, and I have corporations much, much larger than that.
Mhm.
So we try to keep the workflow more so very good so that they can function and be proactive managers.
And definitely, I think sometimes that 6-unit community could be a lot more challenging than maybe a 400-unit community, like dare I say, but I have definitely managed communities where there's so many intricacies to certain equipment, or even though it's in a smaller space, is sometimes it could take up way more time dealing with a 6-unit versus a larger, because sometimes with the larger cookie cutter ones, it's easy because, the risers, the floors, sometimes, it's just one of those.
What I find, it's not so much just of that workflow, it's the hand
Mhm.
holding and the people who
Mm,
come down to the office and will want to talk to you for an hour or so, or
mhm.
in that regard. But all told, we're managing very well. Like, I had a staff member who he was a regional manager and moved out towards Hamilton, and he went back to his previous company here, and he had 20 corporations.
Whoa.
20 corporations to manage.
Yeah. Oof.
How can you effectively manage well? You can't.
Mhm.
So that's one of the, and I find more and more in us and clients asking how the potential manager, how many other corporations will they manage?
They don't wanna be a number.
No.
They wanna be
And
able to
I've
pick up the
also
phone.
found that a lot of the corporations are trying to move away from the traditional 40-hour a week full-time manager and or admin, and looking at other modalities so that, they want to decrease their spend.
Mhm.
And then now you're posed with a problem. I've got a manager that I only have 3 days a week there. How do I give him a full-time salary?
Mm.
So effectively, I have to give him some other corporations to manage, or
Mhm.
sorry, him or her. I apologize. So,
Do you
yeah.
think that model, it sounds like it is changing. Do you think it's changing for the good? Do you think it's changing fast enough? Do you think there should be more changes to the industry to make this more of a sustainable career then?
I think we need more managers. That's it. Not so much as going back to the old model. That is the model, that
Mhm.
you need to gauge and measure the workflow requirements for that site and effectively manage it. I wouldn't want to overburden an office with a manager, assistant manager, and admin when you don't need that. But
Yeah.
I don't want to tax the manager so that they're stressed every minute of every day, and that's not the best way to work it.
Yeah.
One of the and going back to my suggestion to fix this is something I think it's a longer term solution. But I remember, and I don't know if you, Miriam, if you remember, going through high school, I don't think condo management was an option they were talking about at that particular
It
time.
was not. I didn't even know it was a thing until I fell
Yeah,
into
yeah.
it. So we need
Doctors,
to definitely
lawyers, accountants.
rebrand, you
So
know?
I think the emphasis should be on having outreach to high schools,
Mhm.
because what do you need to be a condo manager? You need to know law. You need to know physical building and construction. You need to know human interaction. You need financial. You need to know the accounting part of it. We are licensed professionals now.
Mm.
And that needs to be communicated, where we're slowly, now we've all know and said that we're highly underpaid for what we do. Yeah, there's no dispute. That is changing. And I guess to some greater or lesser degree, because of the lack of staff out there and the rarity, salaries have to go up,
Mhm.
right? So I think if we can promote at high school level that it is an opportunity, an option, and then create that kind of infrastructure somewhere moving up from post-high school education, we'll see that help bolster our numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think there might, though, be a stigma with a younger property manager coming in? I know when I started in the industry, well, and I still look quite young for my age, which is great. I always joke my Botox esthetician does a great job. But, I know dealing with some of the boards where they will look at a manager and say, well, you're too young to be managing my building. You don't have any life experience under your belt. Do you think if we start young and get them young, obviously we mold them in the way that we want them to, we train them in the way that we want them to. Do you think, though, the boards are going to have a stigma to say, "Oh, no, I don't want someone who's freshly from college," because that's the issue in other industries. Do you think
Um,
we would maybe hit that as well, or do you think we have enough time to rebrand the image of what a property manager is then?
the rebranding is good, but I think you're looking at it from one perspective and you're missing a point.
Okay.
Boards are getting younger now too,
That is true. Yes. I
right?
forgot about that. Yes, I am the
Board,
youngest person on my board.
thank you, and
Yeah.
young professionals. So
Mm-hmm.
when you come out of post-secondary education and you have credentials and you've passed government licensing exams, and yeah, and I think there's going to be an affinity for hiring those managers
Okay.
as opposed to getting like old goats like me.
I love to hear it because I know like little me would have, I definitely had some trying times where people would say, "You're managing my property." And I'm like, "Yes, I absolutely am." But no, I definitely think hitting it from high school, making people know that property management, community management, condominium management is, and I've said this many times before, it's recession proof, pandemic
Oh,
proof. It's always
yes.
going to be there. It's such a stable market. I come from fashion, and fashion is obviously not stable. And so it's just to know that, yeah, there will always be the need it's so good. And yeah, I think there does need to be some rebrand to the younger generation to say, no, this is as good as being a lawyer, if not better.
I think one of the interesting features that we're going to see as time moves on is the greater emphasis on AI in
Mm-hmm.
property management,
Mm-hmm.
and who tends to be really well equipped and have the facility of using AI to its fullest,
Yeah.
right? I'm still trying to change the time on
I
my
was about to say,
VCR. Well, and yeah,
oh,
VCR. How's that for old? So
well, like, are you using AI? Well, like, you're not maybe as much, but, in your daily operations,
yeah, we are.
so, and you can trust it, right? Like, you're feeling confident that this is the way forward.
Yes, but as with anything, trust isn't blindly given,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to be checked, whether you're using ChatGPT or Claude or any of the other items. For the most part, a lot of people seem to be using it just for communication, for writing letters, and
Mm-hmm.
then using Grammarly to check that. But there's so much more that it's available. I just had one manager from the AGM last night sent me the notice how they're updating the community, the results of the AGM. And she put it into Chat GPT. And funnily enough, she said, create a notice, and it was an image, and it's the best graphic I've ever seen. AGM success, and it was beautifully shaped and attractive and explains exactly what happened
Mm-hmm.
succinctly. In my 15 years, I never created a notice like that.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure
So
it only
yeah,
took her, yeah, like took her
it,
5 minutes, right?
35 seconds. Yeah.
30, yeah, see? It's hard. Well, man, ooh, that's good. Good for her for kind of knowing where to find her resources. What percentage would you say actually then your managers are dealing with, a lot of the same thing the same way, right? Like a lot of managers, again, maybe this is just my perspective, they're answering the same handful of questions. Are you seeing that to be a large percentage, 50% more? Like where from where you sit, what is that type of operational process look like for you?
Back in the day, oh God, I sound so old. We always said the three major problems in condominium management were pets, noise, and parking. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And to some greater or lesser degree, it still is, but people much more quick to send questions and complaints and issues digitally now,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to going down to talk to the manager, sending a letter, of course, naturally. But I do, here, Nadlin, with me, the emphasis has always been, and I think it's the greatest part of our success, is our emphasis on communication. So I don't want to have cookie cutter template answers. Do we have a document library? Sure. But I encourage that, you need to know your residents. You need to know your board, your vendors on a personal basis, talk to them. And when you're answering complaints or even just issues in general, it has to have a personal touch. People need to feel that they are being heard to, right? The most capital sin here, and actually in my life, is ignoring someone. When you ignore someone, you're really saying you don't matter. You don't
Mm,
exist. And that is the greatest insult you can give someone.
sure. And
So we want to make sure that communication. I give a course to the staff on a certain technique in communication that I learned in my previous industries, which allows the manager to discuss or talk with someone in the method that they really want and need to have the information given to them. So they easily end. Because I know you've been in a conversation, and so have I, where you say something to somebody and they go, it's a blank stare across their face, and they don't get it. They just don't get it. Well, it's not they don't get it. It's you're not giving them the information in the modality that they need to understand it.
Would you share some of those tricks or tips that you share with your staff? Or is that
No.
also in the secret sauce?
No. That's one of my top sales pieces. It's a unique selling proposition.
Yeah.
Because
All right.
I am the only company here
Mm.
that is teaching that to their managers.
What?
So
Absolutely. Keep that a part of the secret sauce as well.
I'll tell you on the side later. Go
Okay,
on.
tell me on the side because I want to know. Because, I think all managers as well, and actually, it doesn't really matter what industry you're in or what role you're in. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming to give that response to a client or a vendor. And you kind of just sit there with this like almost executive functionality. You're just kind of paused and, exactly what you're saying. If you don't respond back, people get highly offended. How come you haven't responded back to me? And it's not that the person doesn't want to, it's just because they're just kind of frozen, right? And they don't have the method of how do I get myself out of this kind of funk, almost like a writer's block, if you will. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily taught in school. We're taught all sorts of other things, but we're really not taught about how to actively listen or like effectively communicate. We're just taught, how to make a sentence.
There is something I can share.
Okay. I'll take anything.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What percentage of communication between two humans is nonverbal?
Is nonverbal. I'm going to say 85%.
You have given me probably the best answer that almost anyone has ever given me.
Really?
It's 97.5%.
97. Okay, I was pretty close.
2.5% is the words. Everything else comprising pitch, tonality, pause. One of my favorites is the effective use of pause.
I love it.
All right. The speed of the words you're saying, is it really something I want to say quickly and get the point across to you?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it really something I want to say slowly and get the words across to you?
Ooh, Ari, you're good.
So what people have always known as body language.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's much more than just body language.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more. Again, the pace, the tone, just even inflection of your voice. So I encourage my staff, and I mean all staff, to really study that. And I direct them to publications that help teach that, because it really makes your life so much easier when you're talking.
Oh, I definitely agree. Years of vocal classes. I used to also be a singer in my past life, but
I'm going to
learning
ask her to sing in a minute. Be careful.
That's I'm very much retired from that, but absolutely, right? It's learning how to sing your song. It's one of those hidden talents, but definitely in a really tense situation, if you can pause and
breathing.
right, and recite that course again. But
I'll give you one technique. When someone asks you a question, even if you know the answer, don't just jump and give them the answer back. Count to 3 in your head. Count to 3. So if you were to ask me, how do I feel about the lack of managers? Go ahead and ask me.
How do you feel about the lack of managers?
Well, I think it's really very important that we deal. Now, ask it to me again.
How do you feel about the lack of managers?
I think it's really important to do that. Taking that pause sends a communication signal to the question asker that I am listening, I've heard your question, I'm thinking about it, and I'm going to give you a valued answer.
So powerful. Yeah.
Without just jumping at an answer that you're waiting to, or you have telling tension and you've got to get it out. The message doesn't sink in.
I want to take one of your classes. Well, I'll come over to one of your training sessions.
Coffee's on me. We have the best coffee in the world here at Nadlan-Harris.
I do believe that, because I also know you have your hobby of roasting. So we'll definitely.
It's a small business.
Business.
Small coffee company.
So, on the side of all your other duties, plus the magic shows. I really don't know how you do it. So
life is short. Have the dessert first.
I love that. Where do you see a resident and owner expectations kind of changing into with this modernization of the industry?
Expectations are ever increasing. And if I had to earmark, it's a trend I've seen in 16 years, of course. But we all have got, I pay your salary, but where does that come from? I think a lot of that goes back to the initial problem, communication. If the owner, director, whomever it is, doesn't get that information you're giving them, what are the responsibilities of management? What are their own responsibilities? I've sat on a couple of panels at the condo conference, and we've had some on communication, and there's some great information that when you're leaving notices in the elevator, almost every notice I've ever seen growing up there in the industry is the word notice is this big, and then tiny little script on what the notice is in an elevator ride that's under 11 seconds. And otherwise, why don't you put a graphic image? Put a frying pan with grease and oil dripping off with a red circle with a slash through it, says over a sink, don't pour grease down the sink. And that's the simple way, and you don't have to translate it to any other language.
Pictures are worth 1,000 words. That's never, it's.
So we really need, I think the most detrimental sentence in the history of humanity is we've always done it that way. I think we have to step away from that. A mind, once expanded by a new idea, will never regain its shape. So I think we need to have that. We need to have that emphasis. And I don't want to just throw word salad, but that emphasis on bringing good, positive change. But I start with the communication, because that will bring down the temperature all around.
What is an operational headache? Well, what used to be maybe an operational headache that you are now able to make money from or be a portion of a revenue for property management?
Thank you for the leading question. Yeah, we love using condo control. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And having the other offerings of condo control regarding, now we have virtual meetings and the ability to host those as well. That is another revenue stream, and we try to make sure that we do it. Again, one of the benefits of now is to reduce your spend. We need to be competitive on that. We try to evoke savings in wherever we can. One of the things we do is, and I don't know if a lot of other companies do it, but I chair about 100 AGMs a year. Yeah. And we don't charge for that.
Wow.
So, yeah. But yeah, that's predominantly it. We're not really looking to find so many different revenue streams. We're looking to provide the best service in the industry and grow our client portfolio by word of mouth referrals. And in the last 5 years, we've had tremendous growth. When I came to the company, we were, I don't remember the exact number, high 50s to 60s. We're over 110, 115 corporations. Condo Business Magazine ranked us number 15 in Ontario. So that speaks. I don't have to evoke anything else except those numbers.
So word of mouth is the way to go. You don't feel like you need to, make it, obviously you'll have your presentations, whatnot, but you don't have to add in the fluff, right? This is the process that you want.
No, it's something I've learned a long time ago. It's a sort of an editing of the KISS principle. Keep it simple, straightforward. And number one thing is be honest. I tell every prospective client, my initials are AS, not BS. So
I'm going to use that. I've taken that from you. So I find that maybe the concept of software for then property management, community management, a lot of people feel that it's a cost. It's something to add to their line item on their budget. How have you changed the conversation with your managers and ultimately with your boards on the topic that, property management is not simply just a cost, it's a utility, and in this case, potentially a revenue driver? How have you been able to kind of change that mentality?
Well, I think one of the things, again, going back to experience, it's cost versus benefit. You need to show the benefit of what software and all the tools that we bring to the table provide the corporations. So, listen, they want champagne tasted beer prices. That's the way it works. But so if you want us to be more efficient and effective, all right, simply, and you want the manager for 3 days instead of 5 days, Well, we need to have the tools to make sure that they can be efficient and effective at the same time. So you're either going to spend, if you want it traditionally, to pay for 2 more days, or we bring in technologies and tools that allow that manager to work efficiently, all the while still trying to be a proactive manager as opposed to a reactive manager, right? Your manager's ability to go and find and forecast potential problems will save you thousands as opposed to hundreds. So we always have to look at the cost versus benefit.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. And it definitely is a trend where, communities used to do paper pen and that was it. And they did that for 30 years and they're happy to do that way. But then when you start looking at those things, then they're like, oh, wait, no, this is a utility, right? And so some people do naturally kind of understand that. Others, I think, have to kind of be a little bit more educated on the value. But yeah,
What
absolutely.
I find is directors, one of the key factors or key features of this is directors, some boards really want to have oversight. They
Mhm.
want to be able to see what's going on. And with traditional email or notes or service tickets or whatever, you can't do that. You now have the ability to monitor what the communication is between the residents and management. You can see timeframes on how long it takes to respond. So it's accountability on us as well. So
Hmm.
think about it. We're asking you to use something that holds us accountable. So we have that much faith in what we do. We have, standards. And how do you measure we're keeping up to those standards? I'm going to give you the tools. This is what we do. Oh, and the functionality of generating the reports on our side, where I can see where managers need extra support, because they're not responding in accordance with our service levels, right? So yeah, that's really, for me, it's an amazing tool. And I just, my enthusiasm tends to spill over to the directors.
It's good. I love it. Absolutely. For leaders such as yourself or growing leaders looking to expand their portfolio, what is the first thing that you would tell them to fix or a piece of advice that you would give them on how to
Oh yeah,
get to where you are?
that's easy. Stay away from my clients.
Other province. Ari
Uh,
has Ontario.
in all seriousness, how to expand your portfolio, how to expand your business. I think, again, there's no cookie cutter design here. You need to find that individual who is charismatic and believes in your company. If you are a president and you really want to do it, and you're not exactly the greatest speaker in the world, it's okay. You're building a business. You're taking charge of the issues. But if that's not your strong suit, you can't be all things to all people. I think what you need to do is find that individual or individuals, or create that team that can highlight and really show off what you have to offer, so that people nod their heads and go sign me up, right? And the thing I've learned as well is, look, if you want to be like somebody else is, find out what they're doing and do it. So ask around, go talk to your existing boards. Hey, why did you hire us? Or talk to old boards that left you and
Mm,
hired somebody else. Why did you, where did we let you down? How can we get better? When we leave a corporation, whether by us or them, I ask for an exit interview. I ask to say, how can we drop the ball? Okay. Help me to understand how I can pick it up and make sure I don't drop the ball again. All right. And that I think you need to be honest, and people react to honesty in a good way.
yeah, and I think that awareness, obviously, right, it just brings further growth. So it's a hard thing to do to be honest and aware of actions, but once you, I think,
Well,
hold
I think
yourself
the word is
accountable.
failings, not actions, failings. We fail. Otherwise, we'd. Never lose a client.
Mhm.
So I think that's important to understand, that you really want to know who and what you are and what you're good at. And again, I think that don't try to be all things to all people. If you have a a market segment that you're really good at servicing, service it. If you're good in the mid-size in mid-size corporations, I'm not saying don't shoot for 2,000 units or whatever, but don't waste the time. all right, because you're maybe not geared to do it. So if you're good in that mid-size, go like crazy. Take the brakes off and go for it.
I love that. Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap up with some rapid fire because I always like to have a little bit of
Ooh,
fun at the end.
do I have
So
to
I
have my
want,
Kevlar? Okay, wait a minute.
yes, have it on. You have your second to put it on. All right. Some of these I, designed because I know what the answer would be, but I just kind of want to see you squirm. So pick
Okay.
one, coffee or tea.
Oh, come on. Coffee. I drink 10 cups a day.
And you have very particular taste. I know that because I've given you coffee and you've turned it away.
That's right.
In-person meetings or virtual meetings?
In person.
Okay. Trade shows or lunch and learns?
That's great. Trade shows.
Okay. Blood, fire, or flood?
Say again?
Blood, fire, or flood?
Okay. Fire.
Okay. People, parking, or pet?
People. Always people.
Excellent. Excellent. And Ari, what is one thing you wish you had done earlier in your career to maybe, well, if you think it might have changed the trajectory, maybe it didn't. Maybe there was a different career that you wanted to try out first before this one. What's one thing maybe you wish you started earlier, though?
Oh, this is going to sound really mushy. I wish I would have met my wife earlier.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, and how long have you been married?
Oh, we've been married 32 years.
Wow, congratulations. That is a huge accomplishment. That is wonderful.
Oh, she
All right.
deserves 2 medals. Yeah.
2 medals. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ari, for meeting with me today and joining me. I hope you had fun and I wish you
I had
continued
a
success.
ball. I had a ball. It was just great.
Excellent. Thank you.